All right, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to another installment of Doc and Caveman's NBA Draft Profiles. As always, you are here with Dr. Fantasy and the Fantasy Caveman. Today, we are going to be discussing Jeremy Sochan, six
Future
nine.
Spur.
Wow, you just want to start this off with negativity. 6'9", 230-pound freshman from Baylor. Last year averaged 9.2 points, 6.4 rebounds, 1.3 steals, and was the Big 12 sixth man of the year. So he has all the accomplishments in his corner. So,
Yeah,
Caveman, what are your initial thoughts on Jeremy Sochan? And I think I'm saying that right, but I'm only going based off of what the Baylor announcers say.
I think SoCan sounds better, but that's a discussion for another day. I mean, when you met the number one thing that stands out is defensive ability. He's a very solid. I think solid would be a bit underselling it even. He's excellent defensively. Basically, you talk about his frame 6'9", 230, but you wouldn't be able to tell he's 6'9", 230 by the way he plays defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the versatility is there for him. I think especially what really stood out is his defense in the pick and roll. He very moves his feet very well and there. And then just his overall motor on the defensive end. We talked about with who's that guy we just talked about? Wow, I'm blanking.
I was like, it was probably an hour ago. Tar
It is
Eason?
Yeah, the dude that where the motor kind of works against him.
Oh. Yeah,
That's a
where you
that's a
hate motor. I
where
gotcha.
I hate motor. Yes. But he really knows how to use his motor to his advantage. That's kind of and as you notice, all the strengths that I pointed out were on the defensive end.
Nothing else? No.
That's all you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, defensively, he is going to be very versatile. I think he'll defend 1 through 4. He's got good size to where I think he could defend the 5, and good length. But if you watch film of him, he doesn't tend to defend the paint very well. He's not a great rim protector right now at this point in his career, so I know that's getting into weaknesses a little bit, but I mean, besides that, I mean, he's going to be very versatile defensively. He's got a great IQ. I mention that every once in a while when a player
Mhm.
understands spacing and their role on the court, and he definitely has a very high IQ, which is going to bode for him well early in his career. He's got great size, as I mentioned. His wingspan is over 7 feet as well, which you like to see in a good defender like this. He's an off the ball player offensively. He can cut and finish at the basket. The other thing I would throw in there is for a guy his size, he's a very good secondary playmaker. So
Yeah.
you talk about kind of the old school style of Spurs basketball where it's
Hmm.
not the first pass, but it's the second or third. It's
Yep.
guys move the ball, they find the open player. Like he would fit in because the Spurs don't play that system as much anymore. But if we're talking like 10 plus years ago Spurs, like this is the system they played, and he would have been manufactured to be a Spur. And not to say he still isn't. That system is still in place. It's just not as strong. It's kind of elements of it have adapted to the modern NBA game, especially last year, unfortunately. So but yeah, when you talk about just a guy that makes the extra pass, finds open teammates, he's not, not as a ball handler, but he definitely has great court vision for a big man and
Yep.
sees open spacing very well, which offensively and defensively. So, weaknesses, I already mentioned rim protection. Uh, he is never going to create his own shot. Let's just be very clear on that. He doesn't really have any ability to do that. that is not his game. It will never ever be his game. He doesn't have any sort of three-pointer. He's not a good free throw shooter. So, I mean, this is a guy that's going to come in, be a defensive specialist, and kind of, I think, be the kind of player that his true impact's never going to be felt looking at a box score. It's going to be when you watch a game, though, his energy, his effort, his ability to make an extra pass, the little things that he does will have a huge impact on the game. And he's a big time winning player. I mean, there's no doubt that this is a guy that can play a role on a championship caliber team, but he's never going to even be a 10th offensive option.
That reminds me a lot of a certain player, which I will bring up. But I mean, I have a little bit more hope on his 3-point ability.
Okay.
I think something is there. I think he has a solid base form.
Sure,
I don't know if it's something that like he just didn't practice or chose not to make a big part of his game. But I think if wherever he goes, if that's something that they want to work on with him, if that's something where wherever his role is, like, I mean, we need you to be able to make an occasional 3-pointer or make a couple. I think he has like it. Maybe it's buried deep in there. Maybe it's not even close to being on the surface. But I think somewhere in him is the ability to make a couple 3-pointers a game.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Somewhere. But I mean, like you said, you mentioned the rim protection, not very good, which is weird. Because you talked about his defensive versatility. He's 6'9", 230, so he has the frame to really hang with people down low. But
and it is weird too, because we mentioned too, he has good footwork, he has good speed to get in position, and it's just I don't know if it's an aggression thing or it is very odd to me.
It's very weird, yeah. And then like I just think just overall, like he's gonna. I think for his, I mean, he's day one. He's gonna be an excellent defender. Might be the best defender on his team from day one. But if for his upside, and I think he has a good amount of upside, he just needs to work on being a better overall scorer. Just trying to get some moves or drastically improve that 3-pointer, or just do something to where he has the ability to score. And it's not really obviously it's not really his game, but if he works on his ability to become an overall scorer, I think he has a lot of upside.
Yeah, I could see that. Ideal fits. You're gonna mention the Spurs probably.
Yeah, I mean,
but
they pick at 9. They pick at 9.
No, no. The answer is no. Thank you for asking. But I would love for him to be a Spur, but if they could get him at number 20, I would be happy with that. Or even if they traded up into the 15 range, if they really wanted him, sure, that's fine. I had the Cavs and Atlanta, I think. My number 2
are we just
my top.
Associating anybody that plays defense with the Hawks?
Oh yeah, basically at this point. I could also see a really nice fit for him in Charlotte. We've talked about them looking for a bigger guy. So, and they have 13 and 15. So I think Charlotte would be my number 1.
Yeah, I mean Spurs. Obviously, that's my number 1. Not joke. I'm not in a serious way. Not just jokingly him at 9 just because it upset you. But I do think that like you.
No, it's okay. I know how it is.
You already mentioned he fits that system so well, and I think he's a guy Pop would really love coaching. Not that Pop shows emotion ever, but I mean the Rockets is the other team that really came to mind. Where are they? Don't they have a pick in the middle round somewhere. They have like 90.
Yeah, they have 17.
They have 17, so he would make sense at 17 for him. It's kind of the polar opposite of Christian Wood, who doesn't play any defense. But I mean, yeah, it's kind of Spurs and Rockets are kind of the teams that I had in mind.
Yeah, I mean, so going to NBA comparisons, one that I'll throw out there, I wish he would develop a little more of a mid-range game, Sochan, but I think there's a little bit of Paul Millsap. Millsap early in his career wasn't as strong of a mid-range shooter. He kind of developed that over his career. So if Sochan did develop that outside game at all, and Millsap is kind of the same thing. I was looking at their height and weights. They're actually almost the same size and have the same wingspan. I think Sochan's an inch or two taller, but their wingspans are actually the same. Millsap was at one point an all defensive defender. So I like the Paul Millsap one. I know a lot of people think of his mid-range game, but I do agree with you. I was being a little harsh / a little sarcastic when I said his 3-point shooting has no hope, because he did shoot at 30%, which isn't great, but he did make I think he averaged almost 1 per game, so it's not like he doesn't have the ability to do it. And so I think a little bit of Paul Millsap, probably my favorite one. And anytime I think of good secondary passers and good defenders, is Boris Diaw. I loved when he played with the Spurs, and I think I see that kind of and he's very underrated as a whole. I mean, he was a part of a lot of good championship teams, and I think that's kind of level for him. So I want to see who you have to say, because you're very.
Do you have a guess? Because
I don't.
Waiting. This person is currently playing in the NBA Finals.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, that's not terrible. Okay.
And obviously we're talking about Draymond Green.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned a lot. You meant like you were starting to rattle off, and I was like, guys that their impact doesn't show up in the box score, Who does that make you think of?
I would say like Boris Diaw is kind of a poor man's Draymond Green, honestly.
You talk about Draymond Green. You talk about the defensive ability. He's won a defensive player of the year. He's made like 7 all defensive teams. During his career. I mean, under playmaking upside, I think Draymond is a little bit better of a playmaker.
Yeah.
I think because that's kind of part of his role in Golden State. So
yeah, that does show up in the box score. I mean, he averages 6 assists pretty consistently.
Yeah, but I think if Sochan was put into that kind of a role, I think you could see him average more assists than he did in college. I think he has that kind of upside. But I love the Draymond. He can make an occasional 3-pointer. Draymond's not the greatest 3-point shooter, but he can knock one. He can make about 30% of wide open 3-pointers. It seems like he's like wide open every 3, and he makes about 30% of them. So I think that, I mean, you have to kind of respect him a little bit from 3, which I think is Sochan can easily get to that level, I feel. So I mean, he can, and I think Sochan can really fill whatever team he goes to. I think he can fill that Draymond Green like role for any team. We've seen what a player like Draymond, and you can kind of debate, the reason for the Warriors' success, but Draymond Green has been a big part of it. So there's no reason to think. I don't think there's any reason to think that Sochan can't be that kind of player for a championship team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great high-end comparison. So, yeah, I like that one. I can get behind that.
At 9.
I mean, if I get Draymond at 9, then yeah, sure. If I get Boris Diaw at 9, no. But I like Boris Diaw, but not at 9th overall. That's like a 20th overall great role player. But Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, his upside, because we haven't really talked too much about what is, Draymond probably is his realistic upside, but that's going to involve him going to the right team and the right system
Yeah.
and taking on the right role. And I think honestly, you could argue that's the biggest difference between what will make him successful versus not. I don't know if it's so much him because he's not going to be an elite 3-point shooter. And even if he develops a decent 3-point mid range game, you're still looking at like Paul Millsap probably at that point. But
Paul Millsap has made a couple
I think he
All-Star
made one
games.
or two. Yeah. So
Yeah,
you're looking at a guy that, might make a sneaky appearance in an all-star game or two, but I don't know if he has that superstar potential. But yeah, I mean, I think a big chunk of it is just landing on the right team in the right
Yep.
situation.
Yep.
So, okay. I think that's a good point to end on. Thank you guys for watching. We've got plenty more to come. We have a few more weeks until the NBA draft on June 23rd. So, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you then.
Yep.